How can the philosophy of Stoicism assist during difficult times? I believe it's crucial to remember frequently that we can change and control our thoughts. We can always improve our inner thoughts and feelings. We can change how we see the world and make it more enjoyable to live in. It's not true that you keep the same way of thinking from childhood and adolescence forever. You can always remove bad, unrealistic, and harmful beliefs and replace them with ones that can greatly improve your well-being and reduce stress. The hard part is figuring out or understanding how to do something. In our everyday lives, if we focus on being calm, clear-headed, logical, and fair, it can help us to live purposefully, be less easily influenced by negative feelings, and bounce back from challenges more easily. During difficult times, crisis, troubles, and confusion, these things become even more significant. If we don't have them, there is a danger of getting caught up in the craziness and irrational behavior of the group, which is often influenced by strong emotions, panic, fear, and incorrect information. When we don't have the skills to control our emotions or think carefully and clearly, we are more likely to be influenced by our surroundings and act on impulse instead of making our own choices. Stoic philosophy gives us a practical way to cultivate a better state of mind and stay grounded when chaos and the actions of others try to pull us in different directions. This does two things. It helps by encouraging having a clear and focused state of mind, clearness of how something is done or achieved. Stoicism and clarity of mind. The dichotomy of control. The philosopher Epictetus believed that philosophy is more than just studying and thinking about it. He thought it was important to actually live out the teachings of philosophy in our everyday lives. Epictetus's philosophy was very practical and can be applied to things we experience in our everyday lives. People continue to read his speeches or handbook and find them very valuable. In his teachings, he explains that there are certain things we can control and certain things we can't. Things that we can control are our thoughts, goals, wants, dislikes, and basically anything that we do ourselves. Things we cannot control include our body, belongings, reputation, orders, and anything that is not our own actions. Epictetus says that there are things you can control in a situation and things you can't control. When we start to understand this difference, two things become obvious. When you try to control things in life that you cannot control, you feel frustrated, bitter, angry, unmotivated, and deflated. No matter how hard you try, you cannot make these things change. They don't belong to you. When you concentrate on things you can actually control, you won't feel bad about trying to control things you can't. Plus, you'll be much more productive. This is an important difference to understand in any situation because a lot of our unhappiness comes from not knowing or accepting what we can't change. Just accept how things are and use what you can control to keep going. This can be used for traffic refers to the movement of vehicles on roads or streets. It can be heavy, meaning there are a lot of vehicles, and it is difficult to move quickly. Or it can be light, meaning there are not many vehicles and it is easier to move quickly. The economy refers to the system of production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services in a country. It involves how businesses, industries, and individuals interact and make money. Politics refers to the activities, actions, and policies used to gain and hold power in a government or to influence the government. It also involves making decisions that apply to members of a group or society. The weather and natural disasters. What others think of you. A pandemic is when a contagious disease spreads widely across many countries or continents. COVID-19 is a specific example of a pandemic, and many others. The only way to be happy is to stop worrying about things we can't control. Acceptance. Don't insist on things happening the way you want them to, but want them to happen the way they actually happen, and you will do well. Many people struggle with the idea of accepting things. Many people believe that acceptance means giving up or resigning. No. In simple words, acceptance means understanding what we can control and what we cannot control. It's not negative to understand that there are some things in life we can't change. It's just a sensible thing to do. For instance, acknowledging that bad things happen in life does not mean agreeing that they are morally acceptable. Acceptance means understanding the reality of the world, instead of being upset when things don't go as we want. It doesn't mean we just sit around and do nothing. We still have to do what we can with what we have. Many people try to make the world a better place for everyone in different ways. Perception is how we understand and interpret the world around us. It is our ability to make sense of what we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. It helps us recognize objects, people, and events, and allows us to form opinions and judgments based on our experiences. In simpler terms, perception is how we take in information and make sense of it using our senses and past knowledge. People are often more stressed about their made-up worries about real problems than the actual problems themselves. Epictetus tells us that a lot of our pain and unhappiness comes from how we understand and handle the things around us, rather than the things themselves causing it. Our mind is very impressive. Whenever we learn something, it goes through all our knowledge, experiences, and beliefs before we understand it. This filtering ultimately leads to how we react or respond. There is a gap between when something happens and how we respond to it. In that space, we have the ability to decide how we react. Our growth and freedom are found in how we react to things. This can have advantages and disadvantages. The way we think affects how we react, so it's important that we take control of our thoughts and try to make them better. For instance, we can feel bad when we ask too much of people, or think that the world should be different from how it actually is. In the end, when we have too high expectations, our dreams don't match up with what actually happens, and we end up feeling unhappy. We can feel bad because we spend too much energy and attention on things we can't control, and not enough on things we can control. This makes us feel weak and frustrated. We may feel unhappy because we can't accept the world as it is, and we get upset when it doesn't match our expectations. We sometimes feel pain before it is necessary because we imagine the future will be a certain way, but it usually turns out differently than we predict. The philosopher Seneca said that we often imagine ourselves suffering more than we actually do. The reality is that we will always come across things that can hurt our feelings, make life difficult, create stress, challenges, and obstacles. I think that well-being does not come from blaming others or the world for our problems and wanting all difficulties to disappear. Instead, I believe that well-being comes from taking responsibility for the things we can control and trying our best to improve them. This refers to the state of our thoughts or mentality. Certainly, we should always collaborate to make our communities better, reduce unfairness, and come up with solutions for difficult issues. However, I think that any progress should begin with oneself, and it is always our duty. If someone can't fix their own problems, they might not be able to fix the difficult problems in the world. One thing that cannot be taken from a person is their ability to choose how they feel and how they respond to any situation. They have the freedom to decide their own path. Stoicism and clarity of action. Stoicism helps us understand the world and make better choices in how we behave. The four main values of Stoic philosophy are very important, and many Stoics believe that being virtuous is enough to be happy. They thought that feeling upset or unhappy was because of making mistakes in thinking and not being able to act like a rational person. For instance, you might feel unhappy about things around you because you can't accept that they will behave naturally instead of behaving the way you want them to. The four Stoic virtues for guiding our actions are: wisdom means having knowledge, good judgment, and understanding. It is being able to make wise decisions and use your experiences to guide your actions. Temperance means showing self-control and moderation in our actions and behavior. Justice means that everyone is treated fairly and equally under the law. It is about making sure that people are held accountable for their actions and that all individuals have access to their rights. Justice involves fairness, honesty, and integrity in all aspects of society. It is important for maintaining a just and harmonious society where everyone has a chance to thrive. Courage means having bravery or being brave. We need wisdom to know what is right and wrong and what is good and bad. Wisdom means being able to understand things as they truly are without being influenced by our emotions or personal opinions. We can only see the world clearly if we have wisdom. If we don't have it, we'll always be influenced by our own biased thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and hopes. We won't be open to considering the bigger picture or looking at things objectively. If we don't have wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage can become bad and confused. It is the most crucial virtue. Having a wide and fair education, being open to different ideas, and being able to freely talk about them is very important for developing wisdom. Temperance means being able to control and manage how we act. Temperance means being disciplined, having self-control, and showing restraint. With self-control, we can do the right things instead of just doing what we want to do. It's important to control ourselves and not overeat, be too comfortable, or lazy. We should also try to exercise, work, develop good habits, and push ourselves to do things that make us uncomfortable in order to grow. I discovered that being brave is not about not feeling afraid, but about overcoming fear. A brave person is not someone who never feels scared, but someone who faces their fear and overcomes it. Justice means doing what is right and good for our community. It is about being fair, wanting fairness, and behaving in a way that benefits everyone, not just ourselves or a few people. I hope you found something helpful.